definitely more important. All right, so since Ben wanted to know how he gets his grade up, and frankly, since you all probably need to know how to get your grades up, let's talk about that first. So here is like, it's a what if calculator. I love Excel, so I created this in Excel. I can do this. You want to put your grades in? Probably, yeah. Please. Oh, I'm going to let him go since he asked. So I'll let your hand was up and you replied about it. So if he's not back in a couple minutes, I'll make sure you get some third. So again, as a lot of you kids say, it's going too hard, I can't do it. Tell my parents how hard it is. Yeah, it's not. It is not hard. I'm about to show you how that's true. If you try, again, you think hard means, oh my God, I got to actually work. That makes it hard. No, hard means, yeah, I can't get it. That is just too difficult, which is what you say. That is so not true. And I'm about to show you. So these are quiz grades. We've had 5 quiz grades so far. You can make 3 of them up still. And if you come in, how tough is it when you come in to make a quiz up? Yeah, nobody's gotten below an 80 yet. Again, I'm not saying it's not possible, but if you put the effort in, I do the exact same problems you need to know how to do, and then I give you the quiz on those problems. Not many of you are doing that. People have come in, I don't believe, and I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I don't believe anybody's gotten below an 8. Doing it. So these are the grades somebody has, and it's not and I just made the grades up. I'm not saying it's person. It's actually, I'm sure it matches somebody's grades, but they've passed. If you don't know what 1.6 and all that, they passed 1 quiz. 2.4 passes with a 60%, passed by 1 point. And you only get like a 40, a 60, a 70, 80, 90, 100. They failed all of those. And if you write down pretty much anything that's related to that topic, even if it has nothing to do with the problem. If it was on right angles and I said stalled out and you said, well, I know that's a right angle. I know that's 90 degrees. You'd probably get a 40 for doing it, even though nothing to do with the problem. It was at least on the concept of lesson. So it's pretty hard to get below 40. It does happen. You give me a blank paper, then yeah, you're going to get 0. But if you write anything related to that topic, then you get a 40. So they didn't pass 4 quizzes there. Then we're going to have, and this is true here. This is actually what's going to happen for this quarter. We're going to have 1 more quiz, which will be Friday. So you can change 3 of these. So I'm not even talking about that yet. Change 3 of them, and we're going to have 1 more. They fail that one too. They get a 1.6 on that. So they've now failed out of 6 quizzes. They've failed 5 of them. And they barely passed 1, and they're still at a 50%. Now, they did get 3 exit ticket points. But again, exit tickets are like the most basic questions for the topic. We've, I think, had 6 of them so far, so that's only getting half of them. And a lot of times I give you 2 points available, so you really just got to know how to do the easiest part of the problem. Doesn't mean you don't have to study for them, because a lot of you think I'm just giving you points on exit ticket. It is still a quiz type question. It's just like the easiest thing I would ever make up for a quiz. So you've got to know how to do it. And I tell you what it's on, so there's no reason why you shouldn't know how to do it if you care. They are at a 50%. We're probably going to have at least, like guaranteed, unless, I don't have any more hurricanes, but if something else were to happen and we miss school over the next 3 weeks, this could change. But if we go to school for 3 weeks, we will have at least 8 more points. And I can't see how it's not going to be at least 10 or 12, but I guarantee you we're going to have 8. Probably get 4 this week. Exiting. If you get 8 of those, again, you have to be ready. They're not just, oh, I just watched what he did on the board without writing anything down or trying anything. Yeah, you may not get them. But if you write anything down and actually attempt to do the problems that we do in class, no reason why you shouldn't get an exit ticket point, especially if it's the same day, which some of them will be. If you get 8 points out of 8, 10, 12, whatever we, oh, they're 50%. So 60. So they passed one quiz, barely passed. All they get, and exit tickets are like level 1, level 2 questions. So if you remember, like, your EOC courses or grades or achievement level or whatever, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exit tickets are like 1 and 2. There's no 3 level question on an exit ticket. So you ain't got to be great at math. All of you in here are at least a 1. I can guarantee that because there's no 0. So you're all at least a 1. Why do you pass EOC algebra? So don't tell me the class is hard. It's not. Now, again, you have to work. I'm not saying because you think you're sitting here watching TV and then you don't have to write anything down and you just need to see, oh, well, who did the crime? It's like you're watching that, just waiting to see what the ending is. You have to work a little and preferably also work at home the night before an exit ticket so you're ready. But if all you got to do is get level 1 questions right to pass this class, which is pretty much it, it's not. So I can't stand when I hear a parent say that. I wish I could explain this in detail to all of them. I do to some when I have a longer phone conversation, but it's not that difficult a class to pass. If you work, you don't work. So if you're not good at math and you don't work, then you shouldn't pass math class. You should have to do one or the two. Don't even have to do both, but you got to have one of the two to pass my class. I don't think that's unrealistic when we're in an EOC math class. Do one of those 2 things and you'll pass. All right, so that's all I'm going to say about that. So back to the bell work. We're going to go through this faster because I spent more time on that in every class. This is the part where I hope you have stuff in your notes. Oh boy, Gabe, I'm a little worried. Or if you can tell me the answer, you don't have to know. What do these symbols mean? The 2 arrow things on the top and the bottom. What do the 2 tick marks on the left and the right mean? All right, find in your notes then. Yeah, right. That's kind of what I'm talking. Well, whatever you've written on, then you need to look for it. I mean, I've already got you at the top of my list.
I throw it in charge.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, how in the world will you do the same thing? If I find your stuff, who else do I find here? I find Caleb's stuff. Like, there's several of you that even when you do write stuff down, you don't keep it. Again, what do you expect your grade to be in here? I just don't get that. My good old my God. Maya takes good advice. Or just know it. What do the arrows mean? Well, those don't. So I'll go to the now take a guess at what the other markings mean. Those have to do with congruence. Yeah, we probably didn't see this. Oh, that's a good question. Nobody asked about it earlier. So I assumed it was over, but I don't see it. Here, again, this somebody else filled the name, but I'm not gonna take time to write one right now. So these 2 mean that that side is congruent to that side. Does not matter like how big, like I intentionally made that marking a lot bigger than that marking. Sometimes you'll see in the angle, one will be a little teeny tiny one and one will be bigger because they want to like move them a little bit farther away from each other or something. Does not matter how large the marks are. What matters is how many of them there are. If there is 1 and 1, then those sides are congruent, which means what? Daniel, what's that mean? They're congruent, they are what? When it comes to sides. So same what? What would be, when we're talking about a side, not mass, what would we measure it with? What instrument will we use to measure a line? So they would be what? If you use a ruler, you talk about what? Length. It's not that. Just length. So they're the same length. Again, I don't mind when you don't come up with the word I'm looking for. He knew it. I think he knew it. And plus, I'll help you through it anyway. If you don't just sit there and say, or you don't have any notes. So those 2 sides, if we knew one of them, we would know the other one. So that's how that comes into play in the problems. Or if we had a variable somewhere in an equation, like a mini equation, and we either had the same thing over here or we had a number, we would set them equal, and that's what allows us to solve for the variable, knowing that they are the same length. If they're the same length, then they're equal. We would set them equal. Who's next? Any volunteers for those? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that means parallel. And again, does not matter how large the arrows are, it just matters how many. If there were two arrows on these two sides over here, which wouldn't be in that figure, but that would mean that the other two sides are parallel to each other, like in a rectangle. Think of a rectangle. So sometimes we might see one arrow on each of these, but then two arrows on each of those going up and down. And that would mean parallel for those two sides only. So the number of markings is what always matters. So write that down if you didn't. The number of markings, whether it's parallel, congruent sides, congruent angles, it's the number of markings, not how big they are or where they are, any of that stuff. Number of markings tells you that those two things match up. All right, next one, Vesna, I'll have you answer this one since you had your hand up on the other one. This is an easy one. What's the concept in two? Or what do you do? This concept is tells you what you do with math. Yeah, so we said the three interior angles of any triangle. Does not matter when we haven't named triangles. That was in the book, so I need to go over that at some point. I'm not worried about it now. Any triangle, right triangle, isosceles, equilaterals, that's a scaling. I mean, it's just, there's no like, what's the word? Symmetry. There's nothing special about it. It's just a weird triangle, but it's triangle, which means the three interior angles add up to 180. So you did this for your exit ticket. Those of you that were here. My board is not cooperating. And then we'll say angle B for that one. So we wrote an equation that would allow us to solve for the variable, and that was one of the types. Interior plus interior plus interior equals 180. And then there was also some, what was the thing about an exterior angle we said? I don't have one in this, but what was true about exterior angles? There's two of them about exterior. Find this in your notes. What anybody find this in their notes? Like the three interior, what do you have a date? You date your stuff? I want to say it was like somebody found it on the 21st in the last class, I think. So around the 20th, 21st. So you're looking for when we did the, oh, actually for you guys, though, it would have been, I don't remember if we did the exit ticket the first or second day of your class. It was either Wednesday or Thursday, so somewhere around the 21st. There was one that said interior plus interior plus interior equals 180. And then there was one about exterior angle. Actually, you know what? No, that we didn't do an exit on that. You're after Dan. Unless he's got his phone on. We actually didn't do that exterior on so it should be in your notes on a different day, but so also it was on that same day. What date was that? Oh, you know what? For a lot of you, it's in your book. That might be why it comes. So I'll just tell you an exterior angle. So if I had like, so this would be an exterior angle right here. So we'll just call it angle 1. Angle 1 would be equal to the 108 plus the 43. We said the exterior angle. Well, you're going to have to, you need to take a picture of that out of your book, because a lot of you don't take your books home, and that's your quiz Friday is on this kind of stuff. What I'm doing right now. Interior angle, exterior angle. So you want to make a note of that or just write it again. Exterior angle is equal to the two opposite. So all the way across the triangle. Not the one next to it, the two opposite. Added together. So that angle 1 is equal to 108 plus 43. And you're not sure what I mean by exterior, like this is the exterior angle. There to there. That That angle right there. That's angle 1. Would be 108. If you can't see the numbers, it's 108 plus 42. We're gonna go ahead and go to the next page on the next one. I'm kind of just doing a lesson on that, your review lesson. This will also be your quiz on Friday. They're not exit tickets, quiz. So quiz will be on stuff like that. You'll see another problem in a minute that you're gonna do on your own. It'll be on something like this. And you are getting a free retake on the reflections, rotations, translation quiz, which was just 3 questions. It will be a different quiz, not be exactly the same, because I created 2 review videos. One review video is for the quiz that had 2 grades. It was about parallel lines, perpendicular equation, distance between a point and a line, and graphing a perpendicular line. I did that whole quiz, the exact same quiz. And I put a video up. All you gotta do is watch that video. There's no requirement for tutoring. It is the exact same quiz you will see again with different numbers. You know, the lines might be in a different place, meaning the slope will be different. But it's the same exact problem. If you watch those videos enough, for that video, it's one video, there's no reason why you shouldn't be getting an 80 or 100 on a retake on that. No, or if you haven't taken it at all on your first try. So make sure you watch that. I also did a video on the rotations, reflections, the one you did Friday before break. That will be a slightly different quiz. Meaning if the quiz said rotate 90 degrees clockwise, mine might say 270 degrees or something like that. It'll still be about a rotation, but it'll be a different number of degrees and probably direction. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. I shouldn't let him go. And then there was the one about translated on a vector. I do want you to know what a vector is. Phones up. So I will probably put that one on there again. So make sure you watch it. And that one's an easy problem. You just need to understand what vector means. So again, this is your other quiz question. So find this in your notes or just write it again. This should be in your notes, not in the book, I'm pretty sure. We said during this lesson that when we have images and they tell us, I don't know what's going on my board today. When that pops up. So when they tell us that 2 images, 2 figures are congruent, right now we're just dealing with triangles, but this is true for any image, any shape, any polygon. We cannot match up the images to figure out what's congruent. I cannot say, oh, well, if I know those are 2 congruent triangles below, I don't just say, so the top side must match up with the top side, or the top angle will match up with the top angle. So this is the part fireworks need to be going off. I walked around in other classes and looked at notes. I might do it in a minute. You need to use the names. Oh man, all my fireworks went away. I had fireworks around that. Use the names. So do something to make that stand out. This is what I had. Like,
people be trying to break up that.
Stab it. Yeah, I don't know why kids stab the screen. I've got going back years. I have calculators where kids stab the screen. So you need to use it. You have to use the name. Like sometimes there's no way to tell. Like on my quizzes, there's no way to tell visually. You have got to use the names in the order of the letters. So for the triangle on the left, so I'm going to erase that. That's not how we do it. The triangle on the left and the triangle on the right. So if I want to match, and again, some of the angles are pretty obvious. There's no other angle that's going to match up with R except for T. It's super skinny. So sometimes you get lucky and you can just visually see it. But I'll tell you on my quiz, you won't be able to see it. The triangles look identical. You have to be able to use the name. I would not, however, say that S is the same as that S. They are not the same. First of all, you should visually be able to tell that also. But more importantly, I can't say that 2y subtract 1, so side RS is congruent with side ST, because that's not the way the letters match up. RS, so again, that's a side. If I use two of the letters, that means I'm talking about a side. One letter is an angle, two letters is a side. RS matches up with side TV. So that means this actually matches up with that down there. The math's not really typically that difficult. They and I will be quizzing you more on you knowing the concept than on the name. You're like, let's see, now you do have your phone up. Put it on. When you sit here and not do anything, I can't really do a whole lot of nothing. I can. And see what I see for that feed, right? But I don't. Can't sit down. So you're after a amount, right? Which good. Yeah, we should. So all you need to do then is say, well, if I know that side matches that side, if they're telling me the triangles are congruent, which they are, that's what that symbol means. If you didn't know that, write that down. That symbol is telling me those are congruent triangles. That means that the angles are all the same, the ones that match up. So angle R matches angle T, which we can kind of see. They're the same measure. Angle S would match angle V. So angle S would be this one here. Actually, let's come back to that because that's getting confusing. Let's go to the side. So again, RS, which is right here, well, they're circled. So RS would match up with VT or TV down below. So if they match up and it's a congruent triangle, then they're equal. Those sides are congruent. For any two congruent triangles, there's an angle that matches the angle in the other triangle. There's a side that matches the side in the other one. You just use your names to figure that out. So the equation you would use to solve would just be that. Again, not complex math. That's a two-step equation. You should all be able to do a two-step equation. At the very least, if you set it up, that's half the credit. But you got to know to use the names, not try to visually tell. Write that down. That's some fun. Single thing down. I got to get to your dad. Yeah, let's do that. So angle R, so if we're matching up X, we need to solve for X. What does X match up with? What I end up? Audrey, what does X match up with? So again, this is we're talking about like what is X about? Let's talk about that. Right? I don't know if I did that. X is about what? See it? I feel like some of you can't see and you're sitting all the way in the back. What's X about? What's X about, Tommy? Not about 78, but what is it about? Before we even try to match it up, it's about what? It's a what? It's an angle, right? X is about the measure of an angle. How do you know that for sure? What's the easy way to tell? Yeah, so write this down if you didn't know that. If it has a degree symbol, it's the measure of an angle. Like no exception. That's how we measure angle in degrees. So if it's got a degree symbol, it is the measure of the angle. I don't care how weird it looks. We could have something that looks like what's in red. That is not about an angle because there's no degree symbol. It's real easy in figures to tell whether it's about a side or whether it's about an angle. If it's got a degree symbol, it's the measure of an angle. If it doesn't, it's the measure of a side. That's it. So again, not rocket science. You just have to write that down. When I tell you to write it down, which I am right now, write that down. And then you need to use that when you try to do problems. Then you need to try to do problems. So again, this is about a side because there's no degree symbol. That's about an angle because there is a degree symbol. And again, it could have still over here been 7x subtract 22. That, if there's a degree symbol after it, that's the measure of an angle. It's the only time we use degrees. Well, not the only time, but only time we use it in geometry. The measure of angle. Let's see. So that's the other part of your quiz on Friday, along with something about what we're going to do next. I'm about to do the next part. But make sure you use your names, and then the math's not that bad. Oh, we didn't really show that. This is what gets to be a little trickier. But again, same thing. If we know that triangle is congruent to that triangle, I just match up the angles. A would match up with E, which is already kind of given to us because they're both 90. B would match up with D. So angle D would match with angle B. Those would match up. And then what's the other angle? Oh, well, C is the same. So C, and we would know that anyway because they're vertical angles. Remember vertical angles. That's what we got the next. That's the next screen. So we kind of should have known that from vertical angles. I didn't even looking at the name. Sides AB. So this right here would match up with ED. So that is how you would create an equation. 3x subtract 10 equals 20. You're in line, probably won't be changed. So Malachi, you're up. Oh, we'll see. So that depends on how long it takes to get to 2. You're third, though, at 1, 2, and then 3. So again, if you use the names, the math's not hard. 2 letters matches sides up, 1 letter matches angles. Any questions on that? I'll assign you some practice problems on that tomorrow, probably. I did assign some stuff in Excel, but it's not. We didn't even get to that stuff, so I'll try to find. There might actually be something on that already assigned. I'll go back and look. Oh crap! I forgot about this. Here's your exit ticket tomorrow. Going to be worth 2 points. So I want you to write the rule for that. You don't have to. You will not have to graph the image. Like you won't have to do the reflection. You won't have to do the rotation. I'm just going to give you the pre-image point, just one, and then the final image point. And I just want you to tell me what the rule is. So try to do that. And I'll probably give you 5 of them. Might take a minute, so you better be good at it. If you get 4 of the 5, you'll get 1 point. If you get all 5, you'll get 2 points. So practice this. I could see this being a little trickier, but you can do 1 of them. You should be able to do all of them. And I'm going to give you the process after you try to roll it. Shouldn't take more than a minute. Well, write it down. You definitely need to write this down. There's your extra tomorrow. There's no reason why you shouldn't get 2 points. Like I said, if you get 8 exit ticket, well, it'd be a total of 11, I guess. Most of you, I think, have at least 2, if not even 3. But if you get 11 exit ticket points, you only got to pass 1 quiz. And that's, with a 60 classes. So you need to make sure you're preparing for these exit tickets over the next 2 weeks.
They put it like that. That's in the put it like that.
It's never been hard. Again, if you knew how to do math and work numbers, you guys always ask, why don't you know this? It's not about the geometry, it's about the math behind it. Understanding numbers, understanding logic, understanding how to figure your own grade out. All right, so first of all, here are the mistakes I saw. One of the versions had an error on it. It really didn't stop you from being able to do it. It wasn't like that kind of error, but I could see how one version was more confusing than the other version. We always start with x comma y as the original point. Doesn't matter that 4 is negative. We don't put a negative in the original point ever. We're just saying that the original point is our x and our y. So again, always start with that. So right, hopefully you wrote that down. Always starts with x comma y. Normally that will be done for you. At least I'm going to start doing it for you. I haven't ever done that in the past, but in looking at the district stuff, it looks like they typically give that to you. So I'm going to start giving that to you. Then they say, what is the rule? How did those change? And then, so there'd be a comma, put in there. This is where we only have to ask two questions. That's it. No real math involved. No calculations involved. I asked myself question number one, did the numbers switch places? That's question one. I'll write that down. If you already did it, then hopefully you got it right. If you go positive, you know how to do this, then I'm not going to worry about checking your notes on this. If you get it wrong, if you don't know how to do it, then I'll check your notes. So, second question. So again, first question, did the numbers switch places? And we use the number part for that, like in this case, a 4 and a 5. Second question, nothing. So if you need to write a side note, you never ask, is it positive or negative? That is not a factor. Positive and negative means absolutely nothing. So that is not anything to do with either question. The second question is, did the x or y, the x coordinate, whatever, did they change sign? So again, not about positive or negative. That doesn't matter. What matters is, did they change signs?
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Depends on which one we're talking about. So now let's do our two questions. Did they switch order? Caleb, wake up. Ben. Did they switch order? Yeah, the 5 was first. It went to the back. Doesn't matter about the negative yet. That's the second question. We'll come back to that. The 4 was second. It went to the front. So yes, they switched order. So if your answer is yes, when you write the rule, you switch the order. You move the x to the back and the y to the front. And quite a few people got that part of it, but then they missed this next part. So they didn't get the point for the rule part. Now, here's how you have to do the second question about the sign. You have to look at each individual value. You can't look at them both together and try to figure it out. So this was my x, right? So when my x went to the back, did it switch signs? Aiden. So it started as a 5 and it didn't go to a different sign when it went to the back. What's the sign of the number that it went to? Well, no, we're looking at the numbers. When my 5 moved to the back, did it change signs? Now you're looking at the number. So if that wasn't clear, we're looking at the numbers and what happened in the numbers to figure out what we write here. So that's where we're determining what to do. So when I moved the x to the back, yes, I flipped the sign. Does not matter positive or negative. That is not part of the questions. It only matters, did it change signs? And if the answer is yes, it did, then you put a negative in front. The negative means you're flipping signs. It does not mean you're making it negative. So now, same question. When I moved the 4 from the back to the front, did that change signs? Trey? Oh, it's still -4. If it doesn't change signs, you just leave it as whatever the variable is. So that's your rule. A lot of people had -y comma x, which was not. And a lot of people just didn't know what to do. So not many people got both points. Most people got 1 point, but not everybody. Oh, you're going to get probably an exit ticket at some point. I don't know if it'll be this week, where I just walk up to you and say, here, do this. And it'll be one question on a rotation or a flexion or something. Means you haven't gotten any of those points yet. And I'll go back and replace something for you. So not everybody will get that. Some individuals will get that. So you need to keep working on this reflections rotation stuff. It's not super complex. I mean, there's no calculations at all. You just need to know how to follow the process. All right, so that's your exit ticket. You'll probably get 5 of those tomorrow. You just gotta tell me the rules. Like how did the X and Y change? If you get 4 out of 5, you'll get 1 point. If you get 5 out of 5, you'll get 2 points. And then we'll probably do something on Wednesday or Thursday where you get another exit ticket, which might be like what we've done on block days, where I just come around and I just ask you a question and that's yours. Up here. Yeah. Yeah, you put it. That's not the pass for this class though, so don't be wandering around. I don't know if they're out there checking or not today. So here's your other concept, similar question to for Friday's quiz. I want you to try to solve. We've already done all these rules. It's like these in red is the rules you need to use. Try to solve for every angle on here. Here, I'm gonna. So the red stuff is the different rules. So if you're trying to solve for an angle, just say, okay, well, for angle 1, which one of those would work? And then keep going through them. So I'll give you like 3 or 4 minutes to do that, and then we'll go over it. But that will be very similar to the process. You'll have to memorize this stuff. You need to know which things apply. I'm not going to write that on the quiz for you. But it will be the same exact type of process. Is it a vertical angle? Are there linear pairs? Is it about interior angles of a triangle? It's about an exterior angle of a triangle. So here's one. Oh, write that figure down. Like, don't just write your answers. So write that figure down. Right. It's not. This is going to be the easy question on there. One of the easy ones. Probably be 2 easy ones and 1 hard one. Actually, maybe 2 easy, 1 medium, 1 hard. 2 popular. Be able to do certainly 1 and 2. What does vertical angles mean? In case people don't even know what that means. What is that about? Vertical angles means what? When we see a what? So they're congruent, but what are you looking for? Like in the image. Yeah, where 2 lines cross. So somewhere in the image, you're looking for this. I told you it won't always be as simple as there just being just 2 lines, but somewhere in the image, you'll see 2 lines cross all the way through each other. That's where you have vertical angles. A linear pair is the thing where I do the semicircle. Like that means that you started with 180 degrees and you're just splitting that up into small angles. But ultimately, they need to all add up to 180 degrees. And you should know what the 3 interior angles of a triangle means. We didn't really do this one. I'll kind of draw it out the way we've seen it. So angle 1, if that's the exterior angle, that would equal angle 2 plus angle 3. I'm not writing the angle symbol because I don't have enough room. It's not about all the exterior angles adding up to 360, although that's the thing as well. It's that exterior angles. If you have all the exterior angles, they always add up to 360. Well, we don't have all of them in this. We've only got really, and there's really just one place where we have one. And that's what all 4 of those things mean. You want to write, I would write this down and then write those little drawings next to it so you understand what the concept is about. That's pretty much everything you need to know for not just my quiz, but any quiz on this one. What do we got tonight? Soccer games, varsity soccer at 6, then boys soccer at 8, JV at 6:30, and then varsity at 7:30. Typically, they'll start at like 8.
We play home.
So I think that's it, right? And then you guys have another game tomorrow night. So yeah, basketball again tomorrow night,
Go and play
and then
games.
you have away later in the week.
Yeah,
So,
and you play games.
yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on this week. If you
Next Monday we play.
if you want to get out of the house and your parents are okay with that, lots of soccer at home, basketball at home. There's something else also at home, I think. Oh, girls basketball, Thursday, girls basketball. So unfortunately, only one more person. We have Gabe, that's you. Oh, wait, no, we get out of here. I'm sorry, scratch that. We get out in a minute. All right, so I'm not really gonna have time to go over that. I'm recording this class. Actually, I will record it. I'm gonna go over it real fast. So if you think you got it down, that is a vertical angle. That's how we solve for that. For angle 2, 58 plus 46 plus angle 2 equals 180. That's how we solve for that. I think it comes out to be 76. I was thinking we had more time. That is the tricky part. Look at that. Everybody, at least look at it. That is about, it's not a pair, it's 3 angles, but all 3 of those would have to add up to 180. So if you do the math on that, what that come out to be? I think this is 16 degrees. And then that's about. Well, again, girl, we got to do something if you want to get the grade up. So that one question I asked earlier was.
I know.
That's the most basic thing on that.
I was like zoning.
Again, you take the notes, but you got to practice them.
Um,
So here, hold on. So let me finish this real quick. So 116, so that would be 16 plus 100 plus angle 4 equals 180. That's how we would solve for that. Or we could say angle 5, because it's exterior, angle 5 equals 16 plus 100. That's number 4 concept. There, exterior equals the 2 opposite interior. Either way, we get the same number. So that's 116. And then for 5, we would just say 180 because that's back to a linear pair. Subtract 116. So 64 for 5. Let me stop this and then which one were you trying to take? That one's the only one that's expired, those 2 up there. So the other one, I haven't even I meant to mention that, but the deadline is 2 weeks from last Friday. Yeah, that's been closed for a long time, real. Long time. Yeah, that's been closed for, well, I mean, the date's up there since like the 8th or something like that of November. So again, I did a review video where I did